Hi class, today I'm going to tell you guys all about your shading layers illusion project. So let's get started. Okay, the objective of this project is to really control your pressure while you're shading. So let's say that you are shading something, you can do it very, very lightly, or you can do it really, really hard and really control that pressure. Another objective is to do value gradation, to really perfect your grading techniques and manipulate value to achieve an illusion of depth. Okay, so here's a look at the project that we're going to be doing. Basically, you're going to just be doing layers and layers and layers, and you're going to create this using value to make it look like it's going backwards when really it's just one plane and it's just shading. Okay, so your assignment is to create 4 layers, at least 4, abstract designs with an illusion of depth by applying different values. So think as if you are stacking 4 sheets of paper on top of each other with large cutouts. That is exactly the illusion that we are trying to get here, and each sheet or each layer creates its own drop shadow. Okay, so if you have a paper on top, it will have a drop shadow onto the paper below it, and each layer is slightly darker in value as you go from the top to the bottom. Okay, so here is a really good example of that. So pretend that your very bottom layer is a black sheet of paper, and then you have 4 different layers on top of each other. How would this look in real life? All right, step 1. Step 1, you are going to start with 6 to 7 organic rounded shapes. Remember, organic shapes are found in nature. So you are going to start with 6 or 7 of them, and it's going to look something like this. I do not want you to copy this exactly. I want you to come up with your own organic shapes. Step 2, you're going to shade inside each shape. So you want to start at the edge and slowly go in. So you want to incorporate the outline into your shading and have your outline be the darkest part. And value should be placed from dark at the edge to mid value to light. So remember, it should go dark and fade to light as value does. The transition from dark to light or fading your drop shadow effect should be between 1 inch and 1/2 inch. So you really want to not do the whole entire box, just make sure it's just that little inch or 1/2 inch. If you shade too dark, then use an eraser and lighten up the area and really, really take your time so this looks really nice and it looks like the form is going inside. All right, after this, you are going to fill in the rest of the shapes, so then your first layer should be complete. Step 3, your layer 2, you're going to start working on your second layer. You're going to draw similar shapes, remember your organic shapes, lightly beneath the first layer's outline. So as you can see in this picture, a lot of these organic shapes are going out of the page, so it really looks like it's layered on top of each other. So I want you guys to do that same effect. So it looks like this is one continuous shape. I want you guys to do that so that it goes and it looks like you are having a longer shape and then you put paper on top of it. So don't just do any closed off shapes. Do it like this so that they are kind of going off of the shape. Step 4, you're going to apply your drop shadow to the second layer. So the shape is basically the same thing that you're doing for the first layer. So you can also use a piece of paper if you want to place it on top of half of your picture so that you don't get your hands smudged on it, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But in these pictures, I have a piece of paper down, so don't worry about that. Unless you would like to do that, then that's fine as well. But for step 4, you're basically just going to do the second layer and add those drop shadows. Remember, they should be 1 inch to 1 inch or 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And you really want to have your outer layer be the darkest and then gradually fade in. All right, so here's just a little note for you guys. Your second layer shading should extend all the way to the first layer outline. So if you can see down here, you can see that this little shading for your second layer goes all the way to the edge so that it really looks realistic that they are just laid on top of each other. Okay, now that you're done adding a drop shadow, we need to make the second layer appear farther away. So the only way to do this is to apply more value. So we need to change the value a little bit, and since it's going farther away, we would like to darken the value. So use the side of your pencil and lightly shade in the entire second layer. You still want to, so you'll have your organic shapes behind those, okay? You're not shading in your entire organic shape, you're coloring in the whole background. So as you can see all right here, you have your first layer shape, then you have your second layer shape here, and then in the background of your second layer shape, you're going to lightly shade in. Remember, use the side of your pencil like this, and lightly, lightly, lightly shade in that second layer after you do your organic shapes. All right, step 6. We're already on step 6. So you are going to do layer 3. At this point, start working with a cutout, with one cutout at a time, and do not draw all cutout shapes for the third layer. Otherwise, it might get a little bit confusing because there will be a lot going on. So what you should do is you should go one shape, do your shading, and then do another shape, do your shading, things like that. So layer 3 will go behind layer 1 and layer 2. All right, so you want to shade layer 3 darker than layer 2 because remember the value is going backwards. So compare layer 1 and 2 and 3 at this time. So you should really see that there's a really big difference in value, and you should see that going backwards. So here's an example. Here is layer 1. You can see this. Layer 2, you can see the value here. And then layer 3 is back in here. All right, then you just complete layer 3, check out the value, make sure it looks nice. And then you're going to go on to layer 4. So you want to draw your cutout shapes on layer 4, and then you want to reveal that dark background and shade in the background, and then continue working one shape at a time. If you do all the shapes at a time per layer, sometimes it gets a little bit confusing, so just go one shape at a time and really try to get that. All right, now it is also time again to double check your layer values, complete the 4th layer and the background, and it should look something like this. Check those layers, see if anywhere needs to be darker, anywhere needs to be lighter. Step 9, now that you are done, take a closer look at your design and add more value where it is needed. So if you say, this doesn't look quite realistic, then it might be because you need to add more value. You really want to enhance the contrast of the drop shadow near the edge. And you really want to have clean lines. So you want to go ahead and take an eraser once you are all done and kind of erase around the edges of that a few different layers. So the top layer up here, and a few like down here. So you really want to erase around the edges and remove any spots or smudges so that it looks really neat and nice. All right, so let's start again. This is the finished product, which you guys should be completing. But let's just do a quick overview of what we talked about because I know it was a lot. So for your outline layer 1, you're going to draw your cutouts. Then you're going to shade inside of them, remember, from dark to light. Then you are going to outline your second layer. Remember, this is slightly darker. Then you're going to shade inside for the drop shadow effect. Then you have your third layer cut out, and this layer is slightly darker. Then you're going to shade inside for the drop shadow effect. And then you have your fourth. Remember, this layer is slightly darker, and you're going to shade the inside for that drop effect as well. Okay, that is your entire project. Please let me know if you guys have any questions, and let's get started.